We continue learning Dirshu Mishnah Berurah Hilchos Betizas Hapas. Middle of discussing dipping the bread into salt, whether one would wait for salt between the bracha of Hamaitzi. We're up to Siman Kuf Samach Zayin Sif Vav. Says the Mechaber Yoichal Miyad. One should eat right away. V'lo yisiach bin bracha la'achila. One should not talk between making the bracha of Hamaitzi and eating the bread. V'im sachem one does. Our last levarch need a new bracha. Elim Kain, unless Haisa Asicha, the talking was Devarim Mi'inyan Devarim Shemevarchen Allah, something that you would make a bracha on. Kigoin. For example, Shabira Chalapas, you made a bracha, very common case on bread. And then you didn't have any salt to dip in. So even after the bracha, you could ask for salt. To Nuplani Lachlo, you could ask to give someone else to eat. To Maichel Behema, if you got to feed the animal, then you don't have to make a new bracha, because these are all part of the achila, because you can't eat without them. You can't eat before you feed your animals. You can't eat if I don't have salt. Therefore, even after the bracha, one is allowed to ask these things. Continues the Rambam, of course, you shouldn't do this. If you say dvarim b'telim, you have to make a new bracha. Says the Rambam, very important detail. It's only if you spoke before the one that made the bracha took a bite. If the one who made the bracha took a bite, then you're talking is not a hefsek. Even though the other people did not eat yet. Okay, we're gonna have to. Okay, this Ramah apparently continues, so we're gonna stop in the middle over here of the Ramah. Let's see the Mishnah Berurah on Sif Vav. Again, Sif Vav began the Yoichal Miyad. I apologize, we're having a little bit of an issue with the Dirshu page over here. One second. For some reason, it doesn't want to open up to Mishnah Berurah. Yoichal Miyad. Says the Mishnah Berurah, again, so right after you make the bracha of Hamaitzi, you should eat right away, and you should not talk between the bracha and the achila. Sivkat and Lamadal, it says, Mr. Berurah, what's the reason? The lechatchila, officer, lahavsik, you're not allowed to be mafsik between the bracha and the eating. B'shtiga yoisek the even being quiet. Kamam simin, reish, vav, siv, gimel, ayin, sham. V'lo yasiach, and you certainly shouldn't talk. Sivkat and Lamed, hey, says the Mishnah Berurah, until you chewed and swallowed part of the bread. Even the pasuk of Shulchan Aruch im loy bala bracha. Since we're going to learn, that if you're tasting something and you don't swallow it, you spit it out, you don't need to make a new bracha. What do we see? We said the main bracha is going on the belia, on the swallowing of the food. Similarly, if there are a lot of people there, and everyone has their own loaf of bread, very common case. So you make your bracha, the guy next to you is making his bracha. And between your bracha and his bracha, you didn't take a bite yet, but you hear his bracha. Do you say amen? Says Mishnah Berurah, lo ya'ana amen al brachasei shel chaveiro koden sheitam hu al brachasei. You should not answer amen before you hear your friend taste, before you eat some of the bread. If you spoke while you chewed, before you swallowed, so this is a very common case. Friday night at the Suda, everyone gets a piece of bread, you put it in your mouth. As you're chewing, you start talking. You didn't swallow yet. Paskins, the Mishnah Berurah, he's not sure what to do. Sarach iyon, it's a sarach iyon, whether you have to make a new bracha. The Chayadim says that so you swallowed some of the taste from the first chew. That's enough, says the Chayadim. Says Mr. Berurah, you do not need to eat the full kazayis before you talk. Once you eat a little bit, meaning the bracha Rishayna, the bracha of Hamaitzi, is chal on one little bit. So once you eat one little bit, once you swallow something, the bracha Rishayna is chal. Now you're allowed to talk. But of course, lechatchila is that you want to eat the whole kizayis before you talk at all. The imsach sivkat and lamidvav. Afilu tevachas, even one word. But what's this one word that you said? If it's min yanim midvarim sivkat and lamizayim afilu hefsek midvarim she'ino letzarach prusa ma'isi. Rav Gini tzarach esud. He spoke about tzarach esud. Afilu diva lavi kilim she'in tzarach esud lavi hefsek. Shabir chalapas sivkat and lamachaz afilu pas shalana denekia mutubal betavlin. Even our bread, which is already spiced, that really you don't need salt. You don't even need to wait for this salt. Still, if you ask for the salt, it's not called a hefsek. You would like to do that, even if it's only al pi kabbalah. Still, it's not called a hefsek. Similarly, if you said Tin Ploni Lachel, give that guy to eat Bein Ani, Bein Asher, even if you didn't tell him to even part of the Hamaiti, rather you just said he needs something to eat, tell Amr Lebnei Beisai. Shouldn't like Kikir Shivarach Latzu, give him something that he can make his own bracha. Kol makom that is considered minyane seudahu, or Michael of Hamas have gotten mem gankin minyane seudahu. That's let them couldn't shit on You're not allowed to eat before you feed the animals. Cause them again ram mishem sefer chasidim. The lishta is adam kadol mehema for one to drink before his animal. Then he's allowed to drink, similar to Rivka allowing Eliezer to drink before the camels drink. Lo yafse klas have got them in mouth. You shouldn't do anything. You should never be matzik before you swallow a little bit. But if it was shesacha b'tzeya, kodim shachal kitzach loimer. Aval acher kach sevkotem mem gimel pirush. Afilu isichu acher cheshayimim. V'yoytze b'rachasei kodim shetamu gamkin ein kaved b'diyevet. Why? Holy kvar chol berachas hamaiti, because the bracha of hamaiti was chal that he ate. Of course, it is also from anyone who hears to be mafsik before kodim sheyitaim, before they themselves tevi. Hine zeu rak ledas harama. Aval kemat kol achreinim cholkin says Mishnah Berurah. Kamar kol achreinim in the shartin over here he lists the Tazman Ram El Yirav Likudi Brichadish Kras Chayadim Shubracha Allah Berurah. Kemat everyone argues, and similarly the Goin as well. Shir lehu to loy adif hashemei amanvarich atzmai kshizach kodim timasai shachayzim avarich. They all do have to make a new bracha. V'chanami hashemei memefsiku b'dvarim kodim timasai shachayzim avarichin. They have to make a new bracha. We're going to stop over here as we don't have the next page of Mishnah Berurah in front of us. Let's just take a moment and see the Dirshu over here. The Dirshu discusses number 23, one should not talk. Other types of hefsekin. We've learned to simple chafei. One should be careful not even to make motions with his eyes, etc. Darkei Tshuva writes, it's not a raya, it's nothing to do with what we're talking about, because over there, the halacha is you have to put on both at one time. That's not necessarily a raya to whether it's considered a hefsek regarding making motions between the hamaiti and eating the food. After hamaiti says the Shevet HaLevi, even though the parts of the mitzvah sukkah, it's not considered a hefsek, meaning that's a big fight in sukkah if you're allowed to say the leishi before taking a bite. The Shevet HaLevi is saying yes, even women can say a leishiv after hamaiti before taking a bite. And we said you should not answer a main to your friend before you eat a little bit. Similarly by Kiddush, that you should not be mafsik to the bracha and the chila. So you finish your hamaiti, and the guy next to you finishes his hamaiti. First take a bite before you answer a main. Let's say you messed up and you said a main, says the Ber Halacha, you have to make a new bracha, you lost your bracha. However, the Shartzina Reish Tetzvav says, if you answer a main, acha bracha sheshama me'acher, Talui, if what? So according to the Taz, you don't have to make a new bracha. According to the Magen, you have to make a bracha. Lamaisa, what do? Says Shlomo Zalman, since it's machlekes hapaiskim and there are matirim, that you even allowed to answer a main between the bracha and the achila b'diavad. If you did it on that bracha, Shlomo Zalman makes a middle level. That if you said a main on the same bracha, meaning you made hamaitzi and you hear him saying hamaitzi, that's not called a hefsek, and you don't have to make a new bracha. However, if you answered a main on a different bracha, you said hamaitzi, and he's in the middle of making a shahakal and he said a main, then it is considered a hefsek, and you would have to say, and you would need a new bracha. Says or some Zalman. We'll pick it up from the middle of this vav the next year. B'siyata d'shmaya.